Shana Greenblatt, 414 Monmouth Avenue. I tend to agree with Mr. Nishamkin, specifically with the Main Street improvements. I recall a presentation where we had a lengthy discussion about bike lanes and whether a bike lane can be on Main Street in one direction and potentially in another direction on the street parallel behind it. So to hear that that's not even a part of the report, that we don't seem to have, I'm really looking forward to seeing the details of that report. Also with regard to trees, so there was no mention of that in today's conversation.
We covered that in the.
So that's a part of the scope?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Okay, so I'm looking forward to seeing the report on that. Regarding 319 Lorraine, I'm sorry, Mr. Weber's here, but I want to ask the question. I understand that there's been a very comprehensive environmental study that was done and nothing, no?
It was, not sure how to describe it. I don't want to be critical, but it was not an in-depth report. Ben, maybe you can frame how to say that. I don't want to say it. I don't want to disparage the report because it was what we asked for.
Would you like a copy of it?
No, he has a copy of it. Thank you.
Can you remind me the name of the company that did do the environmental study?
So I think there were a couple of them. There was Brinkerhoff Environmental did a report. And then T&M, we did a report after that one that I think referenced the previous report. And both were kind of partial reports. I think at the time it was kind of anticipated that the building was going to be reused and refurbished in some manner, not fully demolished. So the scope of looking at the lead-based paint and asbestos was limited to certain areas that they were anticipating to renovate. And then at the end of the report, it says recommendations, additional testing for any other areas that would be demolished.
Right. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question I have, so this is with regard to the promenade extension. What is the most vulnerable portion of the area that we're talking about? I think we're talking about 3rd Avenue, south to the Avon border. So what is actually environmentally the most, right now, our southern state is getting hit with what we see as might be the hurricane century. And I'm now thinking about Bradley Beach. What is the most vulnerable part of our oceanfront?
Well, the low point is the south part of town. It's
Right,
where Avon and-
But the area that we're referring to, what is the lowest, what I'm suggesting is perhaps, and this may sound crazy, but to do phase 1, where the most vulnerable area is, and then work north from there.
I understand your question. I don't know the answer to it. So it's an interesting question we can pose.
Right, because at 3rd Avenue, it's elevated. At Evergreen, it's on grade.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that's much more vulnerable, and just thinking ahead, this is a costly project that we're gonna have to come up with funds down the road. That perhaps we address the most vulnerable area and then move north. And I don't know if there's a way to do that, if it makes any sense, but it's just something to think
Yeah,
about.
that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I just think that if you built it in the lowest part and there was like no wall and no bulkhead on either side, water's just gonna come around it, so there's no, like, to me, it makes the most sense just to continue the boardwalk, go down,
Because 3rd is elevated. 3rd is elevated until really you start to get toward the Evergreen entrance.
Yeah,
It starts to
But
slow.
the whole problem is that the bulkhead stops after 3rd Avenue, and then, the boardwalk, the pavers kind of go back towards.
So the
Ocean Avenue, and-
paver elevation is not a bulkhead on the ocean side. There's a fence there, and then there's a drop down to the ocean.
Or what I'm saying, the whole thing drops down to like almost to the level of Ocean Avenue, and that's the problem, whereas the top of the boardwalk, it's bulkheaded and it's up here, there's no bulkhead and it's down, so.
Right,
Yeah, I
I mean,
see.
but that's really further south of even Second Avenue, where the grill is, there's still a bulkhead there. right?
It's not the
And then
same.
it
There's
breaks
like this
down.
little thing, yes, there's just
A
like.
little, yeah, it's not,
Okay.
1 foot, 18 inches above its top.
Thank you.
thanks. Just a point on, I just want to make on this, bike lanes and the street, that was a report that Rutgers did, a street. Councilman Gubatosi probably knows the name of it better than me, he was on the committee. It was about, creating a more safe, desirable street layout for our town. Back in 2021, elements of that were taken for this Main Street project, but it wasn't a one-for-one kind of a deal, but. There were 2 reports.
But we did have significant discussion about it.
Yeah,
In
well,
that proposal and.
I don't know if it was in his proposal or it was when we were trying to work on some parking projects, and it's maybe a little bit of both.
It was a presentation
Yeah.
that included, and I believe it was Mr. Matlock's
Yeah, I just-
presentation.
It was,
and
it
Yeah.
was,
There
it
was
was the
Okay.
first time I saw the Main Street presentation
Okay, okay, all
when
right,
I was on council.
And furthermore, if I could just add to that, I know my time is up,
yeah,
but bicycle transit is not just recreational, as we know.
Yeah.
There are many people who use it for work
Absolutely.
transportation.
absolutely, yeah, thank you.